The U.S. Navy has finally pulled back the curtain on something that could completely change the balance of power at sea. Not an upgrade, not a refresh, a reset. Its name is FA-20XX, and it exists for one reason: to stop carrier killer missiles from turning America's most powerful warships into floating targets. Just think about an F-35C scores a perfect kill on an enemy drone. Sensors flawless, execution clean, celebration in command centers. But far beyond that victory lies a harsher truth. China's DF-21 and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles can create anti-access zones stretching roughly 2,500 miles. That means U.S. aircraft carriers worth over $13 billion and carrying thousands of sailors must sail dangerously close to hostile territory just to launch strikes. Here is the core problem. The F-35C, for all its stealth and technology, has a combat radius of about 600 nautical miles. That is not enough to safely operate outside modern missile threat rings. To use it effectively, carriers must move into range of hypersonic weapons that descend at extreme speeds, leaving defenders only seconds to react. One miscalculation, one failed intercept, catastrophic loss. For years, the Navy tried to work around this with tanker drones like the MQ-25 and incremental upgrades to legacy fighters. But secret war games changed everything. Simulated conflicts over the Taiwan Strait repeatedly showed carriers being pushed back or neutralized before they could project power. The message was blunt. Without longer range and deeper stealth, the carrier strike group becomes vulnerable. That is when FA-20XX moved from concept art to urgent priority. In early 2026, Congress accelerated funding, signaling that the Navy would not accept being outranged in the Pacific. The mission was clear: build an aircraft that restores distance survivability and dominance. The first thing that shocks observers about FA-20XX is what it does not have: no vertical tail. For over a century, vertical stabilizers have been fundamental to fighter design, but they are also strong radar reflectors. Modern stealth aircraft like the F-22 and F-35 are optimized to defeat high-frequency fire control radars. However, potential adversaries have invested heavily in lower-frequency VHF and UHF radar systems. These longer wavelengths can interact with large structures like vertical tails, creating detectable signatures even on stealth jets. The Navy's answer: remove the tail entirely. A tailless configuration dramatically reduces radar reflections across a broader range of frequencies. The goal is not just to be hard to track by missile guidance radar, it is to reduce detectability by early warning systems as well. In simple terms, FA-20XX is designed to be harder to see earlier and at longer ranges than previous fighters. But removing the tail creates another challenge: control. Traditional aircraft use vertical stabilizers and rudders to manage yaw and directional stability. Without them, FA-20XX relies on advanced flight control systems, including thrust vectoring and possibly active flow control techniques that manipulate airflow using engine bleed air and precise surface adjustments. These systems make constant micro-corrections guided by powerful onboard computers. Human reflexes alone are not fast enough. Artificial intelligence-assisted flight control becomes essential. Now, imagine landing that aircraft on a carrier. Carrier landings are already among the most demanding maneuvers in aviation. Add a tailless design and a pitching deck in rough seas, and the complexity multiplies. The solution lies in extreme automation. Precision landing systems, sometimes nicknamed magic carpet modes, allow pilots to designate a landing point while computers manage thousands of adjustments per second. Timing is unforgiving. Even tiny deviations in thrust or control input can mean the difference between a smooth arresting wire catch and disaster. It is important not to confuse FA-20XX with the Air Force's next-generation air dominance program. The Air Force version is optimized for long-range air superiority from land bases. The Navy's FA-20XX must survive catapult launches, violent arrested landings, salt corrosion, and the structural stress of carrier life. It needs reinforced landing gear, hardened coatings, and durability that land-based fighters do not require. The ocean is as much an adversary as any missile system. Future air combat will rely heavily on collaborative combat aircraft, unmanned loyal wingmen flying alongside crewed jets. In this concept, one FA-20XX could control multiple drones. These drones might scout ahead, jam enemy radar, carry additional missiles, or deliberately draw fire to expose enemy defenses. Instead of risking a pilot in every high-threat zone, the Navy can distribute danger across unmanned systems. This quantity creates quality approach changes the math of warfare. A high-value crewed fighter becomes the quarterback directing a team of expendable or lower-cost assets. Survivability increases not just through stealth, but through distributed operations. Range also remains central. F/A-20X Stakes is expected to fly significantly farther than the F-35C, allowing carriers to operate outside the most dangerous missile envelopes. Combined with next-generation long-range weapons including advanced air-to-air missiles like the AIME-260 JATM and potential hypersonic strike systems, the aircraft could hit targets at distances that complicate enemy planning. Internal weapons bays are designed to be larger, preserving stealth while carrying heavier payloads. The idea is simple but powerful. Strike first from farther away without being seen early enough to stop it. If the program succeeds, the implications are enormous. Anti-access strategies built around pushing carriers back would lose effectiveness. Carrier strike groups could remain farther offshore while still projecting power deep inland or across contested seas. The psychological impact alone, knowing that stealth aircraft can launch from beyond missile range, would alter deterrence calculations. But the stakes are just as high in the other direction. Advanced aerospace programs are notoriously complex and expensive. The Navy remembers past stealth projects that collapsed under cost overruns. F/A-20X techs must balance ambition with realism. It must deliver range survivability and integration without becoming unsustainable. What is clear is this: the era of assuming carriers can safely approach contested coastlines is over. Long-range precision missiles and advanced radar networks have reshaped the battlefield. The Navy's response is not to abandon the carrier but to reinvent the air wing. F/A-20X represents that reinvention. A Tailless AI-assisted networked strike fighter built to operate where others cannot. It is designed to restore distance to complicate enemy targeting and to ensure that America's floating air bases remain relevant in an age of hypersonic threats. The ocean throne may be contested, but with the emergence of this so-called tailless ghost, the Navy is signaling that it has no intention of surrendering it.